Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the 6th season of the Dota 2 Canada Cup. That is right, we are already into the 6th season of this beloved tournament where both North and South American teams go toe-to-toe. And boy, do we have some good action coming for you tonight as well as in the future. It is the first day of the group stages, and of course it is presented by moonducktv. My name is Maut, and we are so excited for this season. Lots of crazy teams, lots of great players coming in from both the North American and South American regions. But before we get into the game, of course, my name is Maut. Joining me today is going to be Pimp Muckle, our production god, as well as the Observer. We'll have Maut Packs on stats, the good old boy, the good jokester, and that leaves, of course, Purge as the analyst. Purge, how are you, man?
I'm great. How you doing, man? You sound excited.
I'm very excited. I'm ready to go.
NA Dota or something?
I mean, I might like NA Dota just a little bit. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. So.
It's going to be a good match. Digital Chaos versus Elite Wolves. Last time I saw Elite Wolves, I know they've been playing a little bit recently, but they tried to qualify for the Frankfurt Major. They missed out. I think DC beat them there. And DC's been doing pretty well recently. They had a roster swap and a couple other things. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this first matchup. There's a couple more on the docket, but we should already be under the draft or into the draft and underway right now. So let's go ahead and get into it. But yeah, I mean, we have Digital Chaos versus Elite Wolves tonight, which is a great matchup that I want to focus on here in just a second. But then after that, we'll have Digital Chaos versus Team Mischief, followed by Digital Chaos versus FDL, which are the open qualifier winners with Bisa and Ryan and Corey. So there's, obviously a lot of games for DC tonight, a 3 in a row, if you will, a triple header for Digital Chaos, and we'll see what they've got going. We already talked about this. We were talking with Maut Packs earlier on, I think before the stream started, and that Ember Spirit is picked up often by Elite Wolves. This is one of Smash's best heroes, and they'll grab it, as well as the Mirana Purge. And he just had AK MMR, so the new OG
did he really?
Yeah, he did. He tweeted about it. He hit exactly 8,000 MMR in solo queue.
And
he was playing like random. It wasn't like he was just playing one hero, but obviously he's a very talented player, so he can play a lot of different things to hit that. But he did hit AK. Ember Spirit's very popular for some teams. Some teams are picking him in the first phase because it protects you against so many things and allows you setup. So at least right now they have up to a 3-second setup that they can do with Arrow, which is kind of a cool combo because the way that most people are playing Ember Spirit, they use the Searing Chain Sleight of Fist to set up BKBs and things like that. It counters heroes like Queen of Pain. But just the idea of being able to use the arrow in combo with that while you're going for sieges is amazing. Because if DC doesn't have a Force Staff or something like that, it could really set up tons of kills.
I mean, it's positioning. I mean, you get caught out and all of a sudden you've lost a hero, and all of a sudden your tier 3 tower is getting sieged down, as you mentioned. The Mirana combo could be picked up with another hero, but the Bane will be taken away as Digital Chaos will grab that for themselves. Obviously, it's not they might have picked it in response to the Mirana, but Bane is also becoming a tier 1 hero, I think, in certain instances, Purge.
Yeah, he is. He's very good against Ember Spirit as well, especially if you get something like a Glimmer, because Ember's notoriously difficult to kill. You can sleep him, turn it into a Fiend's Grip, or you can just jump up and Fiend's Grip him if possible, and score kills on him that way. It's not very easy for you to solo kill him, because he obviously has Flame Guard, which does magic block, but it gives you some options. You're very good at the laning stage, and all around very good roaming hero.
Yeah, and he'll be looking to set up some kills. Bane, you throw in that Nightmare, you get the Gyrocopter running with the Rocket Barrage. They already have a little bit of a 1-2 punch here. More bans coming through. Husk is something that Digital Chaos has been focused on grabbing. I think it's a team that a lot of people, or a hero rather, that a lot of people are starting to utilize pretty heavily in the pro scene. We'll see what other bans come out here and what they decide to go for mid for Digital Chaos. All right, this is going to sound awful, and I've said this a lot recently, but
Can't wait.
I think Viper is becoming the hero, man. And I said this, and Fear called me, he said STFU TBH when I said this on Twitter, so.
Can you explain that acronym? I'm not familiar.
Kevin, I'd like to, but we haven't drafted it.
Did he say STFU TBH? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, I know what that means.
You got that one.
You just said it really fast.
Sorry.
Okay. I forgot what hero we were talking about.
Viper.
Most people would argue with you about that, but I actually like Viper as well. And I think the reason he's been getting better is because people are adjusting the skill build or the item build a little bit. Instead of always going all in on mech, they build some slightly different items. I mean, there was even a game earlier today or the day before I saw the odd shot of it where the Viper went Crimson Guard, which is typically an item that everybody would laugh at. But the reality is that you don't have to go for just mech into Ags or something, you can just go damage items like S and Y, and then adjust your item build depending on what the situation needs. And it's an area where Viper was previously a little undervalued, but physical damage he's not that bad at it, really.
No, and you go back to a patch ago, and I think they changed his agility gain, I believe. Makes him a little bit better in the late game. I've seen a couple of late game Vipers recently. I agree with you completely on the Sanjin Yasha, something that I pick up often. You can even go for phase boots because a lot of people have issues getting off the Viper strike because they're just a little too slow. Obviously, it doesn't give you that extra tankiness with your treads. You won't really be able to go for a mech if you do want to go for the phase, but phase S and Y, Crimson Guard, I actually think is a really good idea because he's already tanky enough as it is, but well, we'll see if he's decided to be picked in this game because we already have a Jug for E-Wolves and we don't know what DC are going to pick for their mid-hero.
You know what really helps Viper a lot, though, is Aquila being so good right now, because it gives you like 4 armor, essentially, and it helps makes up for the fact that you don't have to buy a mech and still remain tanky. I think that's one of the reasons that Viper can have that alternate item build right now. But Night Stalker pickup on DC will give them some good vision. They can potentially catch Ember Spirit, gives them a silence as well, very good against Mirana and Ember, and in reality Jug as well. 3 heroes that silence will be pretty good at, and he's fairly tanky on his own, so he can always set up kills and things like that. I like the pick.
Yep, Night Stalker, often played in the 4 position, and I think that will be probably what happens here for Digital Chaos, and they could throw him off lane, but I'm not sure if Bulba wants to really be the player of the Night Stalker on the off lane, so we'll see if that's going to be the case. And like you mentioned, very good against the Jug, very good against the Ember Spirit. This is maybe going to force a Manta build out of the Juggernaut. Ember, we could see the same thing. You could see Lincoln's build on him as well, but Night Stalker's so good in this game, but there's the roster to come out. They have a lot of good push down with this Shadow Shaman and his Serpent Wards.
Yeah, I like the little bit of a push strat. You couldn't really see with the first 3 picks, but with the Shadow Shaman, you're like, okay, they've got Healing Ward. The only thing they're really missing is a upfront tanky hero. Obviously, you can do that with Jug. If you use Manta, for example, go like Manta Scotty build, something like that. And then you can evade silences and things of that nature, but they definitely can push very well right now.
Wow, the Tiny comes out. Will it be the Tiny IO dual lane mid? We saw it in the qualifiers, and it's something that's starting to pick up pace. Tiny, a lot of people consider this a very strong hero. Maybe not, super nerf bat heavy kind of hero. Like, I don't think he's going to get touched that much, but you get an early blink dagger and you start going to town, Purge, and all of a sudden you got a big guy on your hands to deal with.
Yeah, it's that threat of getting one shot, basically, where he blink avalanche tosses, and there's lots of targets that they can do that to. Shadow Shaman and Mirana are both very vulnerable to that at pretty much all stages of the game. So the avalanche toss, you have to fear that, and it completely changes how you can play Dota, because in a lot of cases there aren't a lot of heroes that can do that and can pose that threat. And the scary part is that Tiny then can transition into a carry. He goes from being like a super nuker into a hard carry if he gets a lot of kills and does well, and that's one of the reasons Tiny is so strong right now. And to be honest, his win rate in the pro scene right now is as such that you almost have to nerf him. I mean, his pub win rate is not amazing, perhaps, but his win rate in the pro scene is to the point where they're either going to have to like nerf Ags or something, or they're going to have to just give the hero general nerfs like damage or armor or something.
Right. I imagine there will be some nerfs. Not sure how significant that's going to be. And of course, we have to wait for the patch to drop before we actually see it. That's going to be the middle of December, I think, is what has been rumored. I do want to point out, guys, before we get through the rest of this draft, that we do have a giveaway. Make sure you check that out over on the Twitter of Dota 2 Canada Cup, and that's at Dota 2 Canada. Go ahead and check that out. I think you can favorite and retweet it to have a chance at some gear, some loot, if you guys like to check that out. But for now, 30 seconds left of reserve time for E-Wolves. They'll go for the Bat Rider, which not as unusual a pick as it used to be, but still not something we see every day, Purge.
Yeah, it's a bit weird of a pick because there's a Night Stalker on DC. If they do get the Ags on Night Stalker, it becomes really difficult for Bat Rider to initiate from the side. Normally comes from trees, blinks in. So for that reason, I find it a bit of a weird pick, but if Elite Wolves does get ahead in this game and they start doing tower pushes and things like that, and Night Stalker doesn't have his Ags, the Bat Rider fits in really well because it allows them to try to kill a hero. They can have setup with either the Syrian Chains, Ember Spirit into an arrow, or they can use Bat Rider Lasso now. So that they have 2 different ways to try to start a fight. If they can push towers and force fights, then they should be able to take an advantage over Digital Chaos. But the other side is, does Digital Chaos gank the crap out of E-Wolves and prevent them from getting there? We'll see what happens.
If you look at the team fight early from Digital Chaos with the call down, Nightmare, Brain Sap, Night Stalker during nighttime, I mean, there's so much damage, so much nuke potential. So you have to be very careful if you're Elite Wolves in this instance. Like, this is kind of a dangerous, like, tiptoeing kind of game where if you go too far into a tower push, if you commit too hard, all of a sudden you get caught with a call down or something. It becomes very difficult. And if they get down, I think if Elite Wolves get down in this game, it's going to be hard to recover from as well. So, Digital Chaos have 48 seconds left on their reserve time, and they'll go for the Wyvern. So it's looking like they're going to have... I'm not sure where they're going to line everybody up here. Is Tiny safe lane, or is it going to be Tiny being played in the mid lane? Looks like TC will grab the gyrocopter, by the way.
It could be a support, but it's probably going to be Constant Sorrows you are, right? So it's going to be mid Tiny, and then support Wyvern Bane, and then it will be an offlane Night Stalker with Boba playing that. So I think that's a good choice, because if it was Night Stalker support and you're against a push lineup, he doesn't really come online early enough, in my opinion, and there's a chance that he could get behind and not accomplish much. If he goes in the offlane, he should be getting more levels, and then he can put more pressure on the mid and maybe pick off some supports as they're going to lanes to set up ganks and things like that. So I like the offlane Night Stalker in this case, based on the lineup they're up against.
I do want to talk about the teams, because we talked a lot about the picks here in this game, but these are some veterans. I mean, Digital Chaos and Elite Wolves have pretty much all played in Dota 2 Canada Cup, with maybe the exception of AUI 2000, but the rest of these players have played in this tournament before, and this is probably, it's going to become a pretty big rivalry as well when you think about it. Elite Wolves is pretty much former Arctic, not today, whatever you want to call them, but they've added, I believe, Van, instead of Mihawk from that old Not Today lineup. So very strong squad. They're going to run right into Constant Sorrow You Are. Might get caught out there. They get the Shackles coming through. Do they have the Nightmare? They're just going to kill him. They get the easy arrow. Great Nightmare, but not enough to deny. The last right click will come out from Isoku. 1437 might be the second to fall. There's another Shackle coming in, and another kill coming on the side of Elite Wolves. Great start. Good smoke. Great Shackles, followed up by the arrow. Easy kills.
It was a pretty big mistake there by Bane to try to Nightmare the Tiny. There was really no saving him once he got arrowed, because the stun duration is so big, and the Nightmare defensive portion is only about 1 second. So he really didn't need to die there. That didn't need to be 2 kills. 1 is justified. They used the smoke for that. They moved very aggressively, but 2 is too much.
Well, I'm having some issues with my mic, but hopefully it'll be fixed in just a moment here.
Well, I thought that was me, man. I was absolutely scared.
Oh. Hopefully it's good now. I'm not sure.
Ooh. They got double bounty.
Yeah, that's huge for early. You get 2 kills and you get the double bounty rune. What a start coming out for this Peruvian squad. That's pretty fantastic for them. Looks like they were going to think about going for an aggro tri lane. They actually have Van up here towards the top line of the Batrunner, but it looks like there's just going to be some action mid. 1437 is going to run into M-God. They're going to get the arrow. So beautiful setup. The Shackles into arrow. They'll throw a sticky napalm down. This should be the kill. It's going to be close. He will not be able to Nightmare himself in time. God, the Shackles into arrow combo is so damn good.
It's so cool. Like, it's something that most people just don't think about. They say, oh, it's only going to be a Bane or a Shadow Demon or something. Those are the only heroes you can set it for. But now with the level 1 Shackle doing 2.75 seconds of duration, the mana cost isn't ridiculous. And they can use the hero to scale into a pushing. He did kill himself on purpose, of course, because his mana pool was low. So he's just going to respawn, get new items, and get back on the map and look for more kills with Potom.
Oh. I don't know what's happening right now. This is really annoying. I'm sorry, guys.
Do you have your phone close to your mic by any chance?
That might be it. I'll just turn it off in general. I don't know what the deal is.
Just throw it across the room.
Yep.
Another
arrow comes out, and it lands beautifully. That was beautifully set up yet again. The Blade Fury, of course, starting things off with the Shackles coming out and the easy kill coming through. If it's good now, it's really frustrating. It might have been my phone. That's probably it. So they'll actually have Yawar helped out with 1437 nearby on the Bane. They'll throw the Observer Ward down here in the bottom jungle. So Elite Wolves getting a defensive trial, and this will not give Bulba too much here. He does go for the double mango, which is huge. And if this was maybe a dual lane or even a 1v1 matchup, he'd actually be able to harass out Ewo pretty significantly. But they're keeping him safe down in this lane. They're going to go for another combo. The arrow fly through. It'll connect just barely. He runs the wrong way. Blade Fury, not enough mana for it. He is tanky, but he will go down to the last right click of Ewo the Juggernaut.
Man, they're getting so much value out of this dual lane. The only downside is that their experience is going to be a bit limited from this. So if you look at the gold graph, it's a 1,000 gold advantage. But in the meantime, DC's had heroes pulling, for example, getting runes, things like that. It might actually, it is a 5-0, but it might not be as significant as it looks.
I mean, it looks pretty bad right now, but look at the last hits coming out for Yawar as well as the gyrocopter. That is something that you can hang your hat on if you're Digital Chaos. The bottle comes through for the Tiny. This is not the easiest lane in the world, I feel like. Arrow's going to sail through, and it just narrowly misses the Tiny. Yawar gets away. There's the Avalanche coming through. No toss to follow up, and, well, they'll just go toe-to-toe in terms of CS for now. Oh, be some harass.
Just an illusion. I was wondering if they would. It's not going to do anything. He's got to get to the creeps under towers, and then it'd be cool. But, you know, just a little bit of harass like this is going to put him on the back foot and make him a little scared, worry about ganks. Like, if you don't know which ones are going to be real, just doing even a fake gank like that is going to be beneficial towards getting into his head.
Here we go. 1437 still just hanging around right now. He's still level 1. That's a big issue, though. He actually does just hit level 2 right now, so experience-wise, DC have to be a bit concerned, but they are getting a lot of experience and farm up the top lane for the gyrocopter. We'll see him rotate at 6 more than likely. I want to see what Smash goes for. Is it going to be that, you know, Boots of Travel build that we're so often used to seeing, or is he going to go for maybe something a little different here?
I think Boots of Travel is really realistic, especially because there's a Batrider, because if he gets BOTs and a couple damage items, anywhere that Batrider ganks, the Ember Spirit can show up and add his damage, so it puts a lot more threat on the map if he does get BOTs. It's the go-to on Ember in almost all games now.
As far as the offlane is concerned right now, level 3 for the Night Stalker. He'll just take a nice Ether Shock to the back of the head. Van's jungling, which is no surprise, already up to 1,000 gold, so he's doing pretty well for himself, and he's just maybe going to go right for that Blink Dagger. He doesn't have a bottle. Meanwhile, Toss, Avalanche going to go through to Smash, just taking off the Flame Guard for the most part. And, oh, here we go. Is going to be another arrow coming out. Is it nearby? No.
What?
Looks like the Shackles didn't do anything. He canceled them early. 1437 actually animated the Nightmare. Arrow sailing through. You are in trouble. Will miss it. Sidesteps it narrowly, but it will make himself vanish, essentially, and get out of this mid lane for the time being.
So I think what happened mid there was, I don't know if you caught it on camera, but the Ember Spirit used Searing Chains to set up an arrow. But I think that when he used it, the Tiny had just gone over the hill, so he technically fogged him through a fraction of a second, and that's the only reason he's alive right now. It was really close.
Lots of pressure coming out from Elite Wolves. We talked about them getting behind, and Nightmare coming through the mid lane. They can't find it. The toss misses. It's on a creep. Now the Searing Chains. Avalanche has to go. He's in trouble. Their last right click. The double damage coming up from Smash, and he wants more. 1437 getting chased down. One more right click, and it'll do the job, but that's a double kill for Smash. You do not want this man to get out of control, and that's exactly what's happening. Top lane, TP's coming through. They'll take the tower. Ewo coming in. He does not have the Omni Slash. He's got the Blade Fear, but there's just not enough range for the Shadow Shaman to get close enough to get his Shackles off or the Hex. Still, though, Purge, they get 2 kills in the mid lane for Smash.
And now it's 7-0, and now things are starting to look a little bad, because the CS numbers are starting to even up a little bit between the two teams, and those big kills are still coming out heavily for E-Wolves. And this is the team that arguably has the better push lineup. If they do get their level 6s, then things get really scary for DC.
We talked about it. We said, okay, well, if DC can rotate around, they can pick up some kills with the level 6 and the Gyrocopter. They just haven't gotten anything done yet. And so for now, Elite Wolves are in just a great spot. They're going to start rotating. They're going to put these wards down. As you mentioned, they're going to go for another smoke gank. Mystico and Misoku going to rotate through, and they'll try to find Yuar. Will they go for the arrow first, or they walk in with the Shackles / Hex? Yuar thinks that maybe something's up. Looking for that 6-minute bottom rune. He could also go for that, but here we go. M-God, so close. There's going to be the Avalanche Toss combo, but the Flame Guard gets put up. The Sleight of Chain Searing Fierce, rather, going to work. And now the Shackles coming through. Arrow's going to connect. Beautifully done. I mean, that's just a well-coordinated gank. Here comes TC. Can he get anything out of this? The call down. One more right click. The Self comes through, but Mystico in trouble, and he will, in fact, fall. But that is not the worthy trade. They are okay with losing support as long as they're stopping Yuar from farming here.
They technically got more gold out of killing the Shadow Shaman, though, and that's due to the fact that E-Wolves is way ahead in terms of total net worth. So the equation actually kind of worked out in their favor. It sucks to lose the Tiny again, but it's not the worst case ever.
Van getting dove. Look at this. Bulb's just going in, but here comes the TP. And the lasso to stop him from going any further. And there's going to be some Shackles coming. Good Nightmare coming up from 1437. M-God does rotate in. Here's Yuar looking for a toss. Ava. He does get hexed up at the last second. Can't get the Avalanche off, or rather the toss. They will bring him down, and TC will do the job with the Rocket Barrage. In the meantime, Ewo gets a solo kill on the Wyvern in the top lane as they had rotated everyone out. And so a couple of quick kills coming for Digital Chaos, but they'll lose a couple in response.
Yeah, that's really not what you expect. You say, okay, there's a lot of pressure in the safe lane. Is the Jug going to show up to the top lane and just Omni-Sash me? Probably not. But getting that kill was pretty big. But it's smart of AUI to go back to this lane because he can spam out the Splinter Blast and prevent E-Wolves from getting a free tower, essentially.
Already up to level 4 now. In terms of support levels, he's doing pretty well for himself. Nobody's really close to 6 as far as supports are concerned, and even 1437 is level 3. He's just trying to find anything. But now, DC are recovering nicely. They're trying to take this bottom tier 1 tower, and they're doing an okay job of it. There is a glyph available, and we do see some TPs rotating in. Evo's going to jump in. He doesn't have the Omni Slash, but he's got the Blade Fury. They'll TP in another. That's going to be the Ember Spirit looking for maybe a remnant into a Searing Chains, but he can't find it. Too far away. The TP took too long. Misoku already threw the air out, and it missed completely. So they'll defend their bottom tier 1 tower, and in fact, it's going to get denied. Any little bit of gold that could have helped, but DC cannot get it done.
They don't get the gold, but it does open up the map. So anytime the DC is farming in the off lane, it's more distance for Ewolves to TP in and gank them. So despite losing the gold there, I think they're going to be relatively happy with that. If we look at the overall gold graph, they are behind, but it's only by about 1,500 gold. So as long as they keep their cool like they are, and they don't do anything extremely stupid, they could easily come back in this game. They just have to keep a cool head. Yeah, they're getting roamed on a lot, but they're also not farming as much. During all those times that Shadow Shaman and Mirana were running on the map, the Winter Wyvern was just pulling the whole time, and he's got a lot of net worth. Yeah.
This is something that we are not... we see it quite often, in fact, from AUI 2000. He's level 6 now. He's done a great job just getting... every team AUI is on, make sure that he gets as much farm as he possibly can. And this is no obviously strange thing for Digital Chaos to give this farm to AUI once again. Bottom lane, Ewo is going to be picking up a Ring of Health. Could be going for that Battle Fury. We've seen it before recently. And I like what you said about getting that bottom tier 1 tower with the Night Stalker as well, with having darkness rather soon. They can start maybe putting some pressure on this bottom lane. And look, Ewo's might maybe even cut out of position. Rocket Barrage will go, but he'll be fine. And Smash continues to farm up top. There's a smoke going into the top lane. And that's Van with Boots of Travels, by the way, as well.
If he gets the silence off, he's dead.
Ooh. Ewo. It's going to get voided up. There's the Omni Slash, and he gets TC. The silence didn't come through. He decided to go for the void first. Might not have been in range.
That was unlucky, man. Every slash hit the gyro there.
Meanwhile, 1437 mid. Gotta get arrowed up. Kept alive with the brain sap. Good toss, rather good avalanche into toss. He will remnant down to the low ground, and they just can't chase him. The Night Stalker during the daytime, not really fast enough, but here comes Van. There's the flame break. They got the last one. Good Winter Skirts, but the Serpent Wards are on the deck. This is a terrible fight for DC. Searing Chains coming through with the remnant. They will get the toss off. Smash is low. Arrow sailing through, right clicks from the Serpent Wards, and actually they might only get one out of this. Van might go down. They're losing too many. They will finally take down the Wyvern in the end, but here comes 1437. Darkness pops. The Soku, no mana to leap away, and no Moonlight Shadow. Good juke. Can they get the void off? Here comes Ember, looking to come back in. Decides against a double kill coming out for the Night Stalker. Pops the stick charge. Ewo, Blade Furying away. Smash will make his way out of there as well. And they will survive. The end trade being, I believe, like a 3-for-3. There's some crazy shenanigans happening mid there for a moment.
And DC came out ahead, technically. I don't know if the recap counted the first death, if there was a third, but they got a lot more gold out of that than you Wolves did. If you're behind in terms of gold gain, any kills that you get are giving you more than your opponents are getting. So that was a good fight for them. They got a couple key kills there. The Batrider overdove. Yawar's still a little behind here, but they're stabilizing, definitely.
Yeah, they've done a nice job getting back into this one. The Gyrocopter's still getting some farm, looking to hit to that SNY, which we see so often on this hero. No early BKB, however. I'm very afraid of what happens, especially when Smash comes in looking for 1437. He does miss the chains, I believe. 1437 still kind of in a compromising position. No Super Wards for 43. This is going to allow down bottom Yawar to farm up. He only has treads and a bottle, so he's got to get something going here, Purge. And this is the best time to do it. Split push while everyone's sitting mid on the side of Elite Wolves and Serpent Wards are down.
And this he wouldn't be able to farm here if they didn't kill that tier 1 tower, so that's a perfect demonstration of that value that they get. Even if they didn't get the last hit, he can now move into the jungle and get farm, and if a support happens to show up here and he's able to get behind him, he can get a solo kill, and that's a really good way to catch up.
Speaking of farming for Ewo, the other safe laner, or rather the other hard carry I should say, he's going to be picking up the Perseverance now. He already is heading towards that Battle Fury, which I talked about a little bit earlier. And this is a build I saw a lot in the qualifiers, and it's kind of a callback to old Jug builds. You usually didn't see this for a while. Like, obviously, the Phase, SMY type of build was really popular for a bit. 1437 might get arrowed here, and he will. They're trying to get the Nightmare off, but he's just done. Ether Shot comes in, and that's it. Dunzo McDunzo. Easy free kill. 14-6. The kill score is not indicative of how close this game actually is.
Yeah, that was a pretty big mistake by 1437 there. He really should have been able to Nightmare. It's daytime, he would have been able to see the arrow coming, and he didn't time it correctly. It's a 1-second timer. He was just a little bit too late, and he feeds his 5th kill.
Well, DC, it is nighttime now, 12 minutes in, and Midas has been picked up for the Night Stalker, trying to stop any further aggression, but there's going to be the Moonlight Shadow coming in, and 1437 is going to get caught again. Searing Chain's getting Nightmare himself in time, throws up the Brain Sap instead. The arrow comes through, they have the Shackle, massive rotations. Bubble will take the level 1 Omni Slash. Now the TP's coming through, they cannot stop this unless they can get the curse off, and they will. The toss would have helped as well, and they'll get both. Evil will fall, Call Down's going to fly, Smash has thrown it away, but he gets the kill with the Searing Chains onto Bulba, rotating the backside. They have the Super Wards, they want to turn this. AUI caught in a bad spot. The Super Wards gets placed down. He's got the Shackles. He'll use the Hex instead. They're going to come through. Arrow will hit. It'll hit right into UR, but TC picks up the kill with the Rocket Brush. They've got the lasso. Now you are in trouble. Good call to brace, but will it stop him from dying here? Smash going to work. Searing Chains onto 2. Sliding Fist is up as well, plus he's got the Remnant. UR actually gets the Avalanche off onto Masoku, but he leaps away on the other side. Smash and TC going to work. And TC will go down to the Searing Chains. You are trying to get this kill. Remnant back through. They're going to lose 4, it looks like here. Will he deny himself to the Roche? So close. The arrow sailing in, and it'll get the kill. Sniped right onto the head by Masoku.
Not the best fight there for DC, but they still can win this very simply. They just have to get some good team fights going. They almost got some great fights there. Picking up the Jug was a really good start, but they just got chased down at that point. Like there's BOT's first on Batrider, interestingly enough. No blink for him, but
yep.
It's kind of been working. He's running down their opponents. They don't have the best ways to stop their opponents from running at them until they get an ult out of the Bane. Because at that point, they can really threaten somebody that's out of position. But right now, they're limited on disables. It's like Wyvern ult, the slows from Night Stalker, and the nukes from Tiny. And that's about it.
I mean, again, they're not in that bad of a spot. They're down 2,000 net worth, but with the heroes they have, with Tiny especially, they can come back. But Smash, it's going to be tough to deal with him. He did go for the bots build. He has Drum as well. TC sitting and just trying to stand and deliver onto this tower. Nearby, Masoku setting up for an arrow. He's going to shoot one out. TC, got to get hit. No, it's going to go to AUI instead. He does have his Cold Embrace up, but he's going to be stunned for a while. They won't turn on this. They have no blink still for the Batrider. Sleight Fist, Searing Chains hitting on TC, and TC alone. The siege continues. Van will back away, not willing to give up this tier 1 tower just yet. They're diving for it. They've got the nighttime. There's the Nightmare coming out with the Void. Toss Avo, gonna go through, and they'll find some extra damage on Smash as well. They're gonna back up. They say, okay, that's fine. We get the Batrider. We won't secure the tier 1 tower just yet, but we can invade their jungle. But Ewo is farming top all the meanwhile, Purge.
They've also got Fiend's Grip ready to go, so next fight is starting to get really scary for you Wolves. That was a great engagement, though. Picking off the Batrider like that's the best hero. He's the one that's most able to stop you from retreating in a lot of ways, other than Potom, I guess.
Yeah. There was an arrow coming out, and I thought they might have been in a bad spot, but this is where they have to take advantage. It's nighttime right now, and Bulba's going to be leading the way. 1437, they drop the sentry down. He's got Fiend's Grip. They see him there. On the backside, Moonlight Shadow coming in, Winter's Curse, the call down, they blow up that Rasa. Now there's going to be a Blade Fury, TC taking some damage, the Splinter Blast going in, great usage of the Flame Break as well as that last, so they're going to lose Gyrocopter and Tiny immediately, and now it's time to retreat, cut your losses. Maybe they can get smashed, the silence goes through, I believe, but they can't kill him, they don't have the vision, they can't see him, he gets juked, beautiful moves from Smash into the tree line, the Urd's up, and now Bubble wants this kill desperately, no Void, still chasing him down, and that's a godlike spree for Smash. He stays up and alive, makes him kite, and just goes to work.
He is playing so amazing, like 9-0 and 8, just initiating perfectly, staying alive, and he went all movement speed, and it's really working off. It's working out. It's completely countering what DC is lacking, which is disables. If they use all of their ultimates, yeah, they can kill Ember Spirit, but there's so many other things to deal with, and this BOT's plus drum build, he just runs around the fight the whole time and just evades everything.
Who did they Fiend Script there, by the way?
It was the Juggernaut. He was spinning on the Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter got Cold Embraced, and then they Fiend Script him. So it wasn't the best damage. It did allow them to do some.
Jackals, you are. Is there an arrow? Smash is going to come in first. Avalanche goes. Mystico, call down's going to fly. It will hit. First tick. There's an arrow coming. Will they turn on this? Smash is like, I want to fight, guys. I do some damage right now. Level 12. He's going to take a little bit of a rocket barrage damage, but he'll just back away and stay safe for the time being. And they really, really want this tier 1 tower, and I think they'll finally actually get it here. Alright.
See if he catches one.
He does get...
Here comes Arrow.
War. Arrow's going to sail through. It's going to hit. They've got the Nightmare at the ready. Fiend's Grip is up in 8, but there's the bots. Blink in the lasso. Good night there, but is it enough? He still pulls him up to the high ground. Yuar's actually going to live because of it. The Flame Break will push him back. Still, Nightmare actually saves his life there, I believe. Had he gotten up to the high ground, he's dead.
1437 has to be really mindful of these arrow combos because that's basically how they set them up every time. It's the Searing Chains. He was in position. He could have nightmared the Tiny most likely there. It's something it's very hard to predict, and it's hard to know exactly when it's going to happen when you're scared about a Bat Rider at all times. But
Yeah.
that 1 second of invulnerability can change everything. You can block the arrow there, and it completely changes the whole fight. Makes one hero completely useless, basically.
To avoid these ganks, they need to get Bubble Farm. They need to get that Aghanim Scepter up on him and make these night times very difficult for Elite Wolves. And right now, they're finding plenty of farm. I mean, Evo hasn't been fighting for like the last 5 to 10 minutes, and he's got his Battle Fury now. They pick up the Tier 1 tower top lane, and they'll continue to go for the push in the Tier 2. Meanwhile, mid, they were looking for something for Digital Chaos. They can't quite find it as Van is going to just sit back. He's got a gem now as well. The farm is starting to get a little ridiculous. I mean, it's still close, Purge, but getting a bit harder for Digital Chaos right now.
I still have a lot of faith in their lineup in the late game, though. They've got great late game supports in the Wyvern as well as the Bane. Tiny's obviously very strong. He still doesn't have a Blink Dagger, though. He's forced to go back for a Drum of Endurance. It'll help his team momentarily. But if he gets a Blink, like, this game could have been very easy for DC. But because he got pressured so much by E-Wolves, it just put him on the back foot and makes it harder for them to score those solo kills.
Mirana's second pick was actually so strong for them, and it's been continuing to work out. And Masoku, surprisingly, has been pretty poor for the amount of heroes he's hit, but I think he's doing a lot of the supporting here, buying the wards. I think he actually bought the gem as well for the Bat Rider. He did, so yeah. I mean, that's not surprising. Being a very selfless player, but they're getting so much more work for Ewo as well as the Ember Spirit, who is also about to finish up a Battle Fury.
It's a good hero to spend money like that on, because Mirana doesn't really scale very well as a support. You can't really transition her into a core super easily. Like, maybe she could have bought a Midas or something like that, but she's pretty much just an arrow machine at this point. So it may come back to bite Elite Wolves a lot in the late game. We'll see.
Speaking of Mirana, she will go ahead and Moonlight Shadow, and just missing the Searing Chains, or Sleight of Fist Searing Chains combo altogether is actually going to be smashed. So they'll stay alive. AUI, had he got hit by that, he's probably dead. Tier 1 tower push coming out bottom lane. Elite Wolves are setting up. They've got great positioning from Van, who's got some pretty good vision nearby. There's going to be the Darkness coming in, though, so the vision's going to be severely limited now, and DC are thinking about defending. Smash will pop up the Flame Guard. Sleight of Fist Searing Chains. They'll find 1437. He's going to get dragged up to the high ground, and we'll see later. They get the Winter's Curse off. There's going to be the call down. Ewo in trouble. The right click isn't enough, and it is. The inscript from the high ground onto Van. Van's in trouble. Yawar looking for more. I can't quite find it. If he had the blink, he might have been able to chase Smash down, but he will get away for now. Still a 1-for-1, but they do defend their tower, but Bulba's not done yet. He says, I want blood. He's looking for a void into Silence. Sleight of Fist Searing Chain's gonna go ahead. Silence goes in, gets arrow to the backside. Right click. Will it be enough? There's gonna be the Avalanche. Masoku in trouble, leaps away. Will stay alive for the time being, and he's gonna TP out. There's the Ether Shock. The Rosh comes in to save the day. Toss Eva, but now they get the Ward Trap on Eowar. Cold Embrace will keep him alive. They have to break him out. And so somehow it turns into a 2-for-1 in the end. And Digital Chaos, they do save their bottom tier 1 tower, but they do lose 2 heroes out of it.
I think that was really good for DC. I think 1437 got a lot of value out of getting trapped. The Fiend's Grip worked out nicely. The DD on Tiny was basically what won them the fight, because they were able to kill the person they initiated on. If Jug would have lived there and gotten an Omni Slash off, then DC clearly would have lost that fight and would have put them severely behind. But again, they get a very, very slight advantage.
They're staying in the game. Digital Chaos, 4,000 net worth at 20 minutes. It could be a lot worse than this, especially with the towers they've lost, but they've done a nice job trading for them. The double Battle Fury coming out, so the damage is starting to get pretty real for both Smash and Ewo. And let's see, what's the other items? I think the SNY is probably getting close to completed. He actually picks up a Helm of Iron Will for TC, so just a casual
he's had that. It's a decent early item. I mean, you could maybe argue he should have gone full Helm of the Dominator, but this might be his build where he just says, okay, if I'm not doing really well, then I'll just keep the Helm of Iron Will and I'll leave it there, because the extra 5 armor is obviously going to do a ton against Omni Slash, against Ember Spirit, against Serpent Wars, all of these things. So I kind of like it as a solo item instead of just the Mask of Death in their early game.
Right. Now, how do you feel about DC pressuring? I mean, during nighttime it makes sense, but can they do anything during daytime, or do they just have to sit back and let E-Wolves farm? Or is that just too dangerous?
I think they can definitely pressure during the daytime. Maybe they don't want to take a 5v5 fight, but as long as the Night Stalker has his ultimate, they can always look for things like that and score kills. They've got Fiend's Grip, they've got Winter's Curse, they've got great disables. It's just they need to find the right fights, and they need to be in their advantage.
I'm not sure if they smoked on that ward, but they're going to know that something's up as they walked right over it. And Elite Wolves are kind of ready here. But here we go. Moonlight Shadow's going to fly. They throw it out a sentry or two. They get the Nightmare off onto the Mirana. Here comes Smash. Toss Ava. Good leap away, but still dies in the end. Searing Chains. They get the lasso off onto Yawar. It's pretty tanky, though. They're not really doing any damage to him. It looks like Elite Wolves want to cut their losses. Super Wars will come up. They'll grab the instant Ritzer's Curse, and now actually you are in trouble, but there's the Cold Embrace, beautifully done, as the Omni Slash comes through, and now Smash in trouble, Fiend's Grip, he'll fall, that's a huge pickup, that's a godlike spree, and they're gonna get Evo, they're getting everything, 4 dead, a double kill coming out for the Night Stalker Bulba. Big Cold Embrace, big plays coming out from Digital Chaos.
What a fight, man. They actually got everything that they wanted there. They killed everybody. That Cold Embrace was completely fight-changing. That turned it from like a 4 for 2 to a 4 for nothing. Plus they got all the wards, which is borderline killing an extra hero by themselves. Amazing fight there from DC. They played that perfectly. The Glimmer Cape on the Bane, he comes from the backside. They score the kill on the Murano, which was the real big disable on E-Wolves, and then they just cleaned up.
Yeah.
Awesome fight from DC there.
And I could have, I mean, you see this ward here, and I thought they would have seen the smoke, or at least they saw them walk over that ward. They were not expecting the smoke, it looks like. It came through, and it provided them 4 kills. And where does this put them in the net worth chart? Look at this graph. It's only 1,000 lead for Elite Wolves now, after all that work they put in the early game. Digital Chaos. What a goddamn fight, if I've ever seen one. And this is going to get Bulba even closer to his axe. He's just one kaput. He's actually got it now. The Active Scepter is done at 23 minutes, Purge. Vision is huge.
Yeah, he's actually got almost comparable farm to his Gyrocopter carry, which is a little bit behind where the Juggernaut and the Ember Spirit are. So it's going to put DC in a really good place. The vision is going to be absolutely huge when these next couple fights, because this is where Batrider basically gets into a bad spot. Yeah. Unless he starts doing Shadow Blade kind of things, I mean, or smoking every time he goes for a lasso.
Right.
Like, they've lost that advantage.
Yeah. And he'll have to make some adjustments here, and we'll see what Van picks up next here. And he does have the Force Staff. No items purchased from him yet. He's just going to get some wards and put them on him. I wanted to ask, do you think, I mean, they have the point booster for the Tiny. Is there any chance he goes back and grabs that Blink, or is he going to stay with what he's got currently?
He might just focus on the tanky build, because the more HP he buys, the more the Cold Embrace does. And just surviving the Omni Slash is more important than it is for him to set up a Avalanche Toss, in my opinion, because they can do that with things like Fiend's Grip and Nightmare.
They do have the Disable. They have the Vision now as well. Darkness is still only level 2, so the cooldown is a bit long. 80 seconds at its max level is what they're waiting for, and they're ready for a tier 2 push. And with this Vision, they see Van. They know he's there. Can they get something off before it gets the blinking? They will. They get the ward down, though. Van getting called out on as well. Here comes Smash. The toss up as well. Big kill. They'll find Van, and only AUI will get arrow toss, or rather Avalanche coming first. He will get chased, but no. Great Searing Chains coming up from Smash to stop the pursuit. Smash. Maybe in some trouble here. They still have really good vision, but there's the Moonlight Shadow coming out, and Ewo decides, okay, let me just blink out and back away. Let's not deal with this right now. And they only lose Van. Yep.
I'm going to try to help Bulba get out, so he's going to break the trees with his... I think he's actually just trapped himself as well. Alright, it didn't work.
Alright, wait 8 more seconds, you'll be able to get out of there.
This is actually really dangerous for them, because E-Wolves is still there.
Curse. He needs to curse. He's kind of in range, actually. Just barely. Ewo jumping in, 1437. Nightmares himself, and actually gets out with the Glimmer Cape TC, getting pulled up. Not onto the high ground. Now it will be. Actually gets pulled back down to the low ground. The Omni Slash TC in trouble. Looks like he will fall. Not yet. Last right click will come through. And alrighty, it's a 1-for-1 trade. 1437 Cold Embrace. The Serpent Wards, they want to do tower damage. They'll find it. And the right click from Ewo to get the kill up onto that Bane. This will be a tier 2 tower, as Uwar was not there. Still just farming, and obviously being in the tree line, they were all sorts of scrambled here for DC.
They really didn't think they would just continue and stay, but the bigger issue was because of the tree blocks on the right side.
Yep.
If they had more mobility, their defensive capabilities would have been better. Their arrow.
Oh, AUI gets hit by the arrow, and it looks like a right click will do the job from Smash Sleight of Fist, actually. And they want to remedy it. They want to go on Bulba. Suddenly it's getting out of control right now. Buybacks, they want to force them. Gyro has it, but here comes Tiny back into the fray. Still no axe just yet. They want to push them off this tower, and they'll do so, at least for the time being. Digital Chaos, after taking one big fight, they'll lose a pretty significant one. They'll lose a tier 2 tower in that bottom lane, and this leaves a little bit more map control up for Van and Elite Wolves as well.
On the bright side with that fight, for DC, the wards were dropped at the tier 2 tower instead of for the racks, so that gave them some capabilities of defending there. So, decent for them. Roche is going to be up, they spotted out. They probably have permanent nighttime for about 4 minutes or so. Because it's still day technically, but it will be trickling over into nighttime as this darkness ult ends.
Maybe like half a second or something, or a couple of seconds here, you know, in between night and day. But with the darkness still up at level 2, gonna be pretty nice. They actually have a remnant in the pit for Elite Wolf, so you know, roaching is not the best possibility for either side. It's tough. You have to kind of win a fight. They have to kind of get a pick. I do want to talk about. I've seen this Blink build for Juggernaut a lot recently, and what are your thoughts on this build, Purge?
It helps you get a Omni Slash off on the heroes that you really need to. Like, if there's a Bane in the back line and he's Fiend's Grip, and you just jump in instantly and you Omni Slash him and you kill him at the start of the fight. Things like that are extremely valuable to have. And positioning as well. Like, he can Blade Fury into a Blink if he's only taking magic damage. There's a lot of reasons why Blink is just too important. I mean, people buy things like Sanjin Yasha and drums for mobility. Why not buy a Blink Dagger instead, you know? There's a lot of value in that.
And this is, I think, a direct response into the nerf that was the Omni Slash range, obviously being a big issue. You wouldn't even really need a Blink to get in positioning as long as you had some mobility item like a Sanjin Yasha or maybe just a Mance or something like that. So
for now, DC sits in their base because they have no idea where E-Wolves is.
They avoided smoke too. That's pretty nice. I don't know if they saw it or they just had really good game sense in that instance, but...
Well, it was probably that as well as the fact that it was daytime, so they know that their opponents are going to try to initiate, especially because they knew that Night Stalker was down. So DC wants to fight when it's nighttime, E-Wolves wants to fight when it's daytime, so it's pretty clear cut there for DC to read like, okay, they're probably going to try to kill us now.
They're going to head to Roche, and they're going to take it pretty quickly. There's no Remnant here, and Elite Wolves know that something's up, and they'll back up. They're going to give Roche away to DC for free here, and the Aegis will go probably to... What do you think, TC maybe? Maybe Bolo?
Yeah, TC definitely. The only thing that he's really worried about right now is getting clipped, like happened in the last fight. So maybe a Force would be great for DC, but Yawar's HP is high enough, he's got about 2k, that he doesn't have to worry as much.
He's got enough for the Axe too, and he probably will go for that sooner rather than later. He wants to buy something else like a BKB, which is a definite possibility.
I think he's
Lasso
okay.
against Arrow.
He does get it. I was thinking maybe he was going to save for buyback just in case, because I feel like they can win late game definitely due to their supports being really strong. But maybe he wanted to save buyback in case the fight goes bad. But it won't accelerate him as fast as if he just finishes the Ags right now.
How do you feel about a Lotus Orb for Bulba this game?
It's not that amazing, I don't think. There's very few things that it stops. Shackles, Hex, Lasso. I don't think Lotus Orb is particularly good. There's not that many things you can dispel either. I guess Searing Chains, but that's about it. I'm not thinking there's much else. Napalm, probably.
What are your other options as an Ice Stalker in this instance? Do you just go BKB and try to man fight?
I don't know if BKB is the solution either. Maybe a Blink Dagger. Maybe that's crazy. Oh, they got this kill.
This Ko is gonna get ulted twice and lose all of his wards in the process. I mean, he does some nice damage to tier 3 tower, but I think that's a bit ballsy.
He really didn't think that DC would be in their base. That's pretty clear. It's like, oh, I'm split pushing. They're trying to group up and get kills right now. This is gonna be fine, but nope. DC gets a free one and some wards, and that's gonna make them very confident about pushing out.
All right, what do we got? Van picking up an ultimate orb. Ewo has one as well. So we'll see what these turn into. Nash has not got... Oh, he went for a blink as well. So, again, it's all about mobility right now for Elite Wolves. They can get in and out of fights pretty easily, as long as they don't get initiated on. Ooh, the Void almost came out from the Night Stalker from Sam. Does not get it done.
Pretty unfortunate for him. I'm sure he'd like to get a disable item, maybe... Or something to slow his opponents. It's probably not a Rod of Atos game, but in games like these where you're lacking disables, that's usually a pretty good item. But in the pro scene, they might be more favored to get something like a Hex. But even that isn't a good Night Stalker item. It's definitely a tough game for him item-wise. Maybe BKB really is the right item.
Abyssal's kind of an expensive build-up as well, and it's kind of tough to get in with all these mobile heroes, and Abyssal 1, lock him down. TC, speaking of getting locked down, he's going to get Cold Embrace for now. Arrow's going to sail through, and it will hit. He does get Glimmer Cape, so won't take too much damage, but they're ready to go. He's right out in front. Undislighted Fist will go to work, and they'll blink away. I mean, TC is already pretty tanky, so it's tough to deal with him even before the BKB. They throw out a Dust, and they smoke as well right on top of this. And
meant to be a smoke, for sure.
It definitely did. Ah, whatever. Who cares? They have a gem. No big deal.
It could affect things. It could slow them, you know? Dust is valuable against
it's like, what, 10% or something like that?
It's like, yeah, I think it's like 10 or 15. 20% now. They buffed it. I forgot about that. That's such a good slow.
Good. Yeah.
What a bottom counter, man. See if they can catch a hero here. They almost got the Bat Rider.
Good Remnant. Very good Remnant. But they haven't been noticed yet. They haven't walked up, and now AUI will do so. Curse! Can he get it off? Does it beautifully onto M-God. Mystico getting caught out. They'll lose one, if not two here. Toss Avalanche will do the job, and the right clicks from the Tiny. He's a big, giant, freaking rock with a tree in his hand, and so that's pretty easy for him to find a kill on a weak little Shadow Shaman. And they will take a kill. They won't get much out of it. The wave was not pushed in, but nicely done either way.
They would have really liked to get 2 heroes there or force a 5v5 because again they have Aegis, so like forcing a fight is extremely important for them. But that nice observer ward by the Radiant, oh, they just placed that actually. But I'm sure it helped them make decisions in terms of the team fight. But whether to retreat, whether to go all in, or whether to stay.
If they had... I understand that they have a lot of lockdown, but if they want to catch out Smash while he's split pushing, they have to get some mobility items on either 1437 or maybe even the Tiny. Because it's so hard just to catch him when he's split pushing like he is. And
I do kind of like the idea of the Octarine in some ways because it's very clear that Elite Wolves doesn't want to fight during daytime or during nighttime. So if DC can up the nighttime duration, that would be pretty good for them.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
And tankiness is not bad either because Elite Wolves aren't that amazing at single target damage, with the exception of Juggernaut, basically.
He's going plate mail. AC? Or it could
AC would be really good as well, actually. AC is pretty straightforward, great item pickup. Just a utility item that also helps you and your team do damage.
Decent armor on the side, and you have a lot of agility heroes as well, so... well, we'll see what happens next. It's just back to daytime for DC that I want to put any pressure on. Maybe Elite Wolves, like you talked about, when it is daytime, they have some options to work with. They can try to maybe push these lanes out, go for smoke, go for Moonlight Shadow, which is up to 38 seconds. But DC will stay together for the most part. A lot of split pushing for Elite Wolves. On the other side, a lot of team fighting for DC.
And the supports of Elite Wolves are starting to get really poor. The Mirana, she has basically nothing. Treads, Wand, Ring of Basilius. That's it. She's contributing a Moonlight Shadow, a Star Storm, and an Arrow. And that's all your hero does. If you compare that to what Bane can do, what Winter Wyvern can do, it's just not the same. It makes it so much harder for them to fight.
And as good as Masoku played in the early game, it's just... it's tough to man up against these heroes. They really have to rely on Ewo and Smash. And Ewo does pick up the Scotty now, so a bit tankier. Smash still has that blink, and he's got 3,200 gold in the bank. They'll drop the Serpent Wards, put some pressure in this tier 2. I don't think they'll be able to take it, as there's some heroes rotating in. Splinter Blast will fly through. Arctic Burn. They miss out the Searing Chains from Smash. He blinked in blind. They couldn't find anything there. TC looking for a call down. Ewo does have the blink away, and he will be able to make it out if need be. But they really want this tier 2 tower.
Yeah, they maybe could have gripped him there when he was a little bit far up. That I think they should have gone for that, but...
Here comes Van. Blink Lasso. Good cold embrace, though. TC in some trouble still. Gets Glimmer Claped as well. They have the Citra Ward on the deck, however. Really good curse coming out from AUI 2000. The Remnant not doing enough. He actually Remnants away. There's the grip coming through as well. Toss. Now the Omni Slash comes in, and they're all low. Finally, the damage coming through. The Scotty keeping him up and fighting fit. 2 dead for DC. They'll lose 4. Smash comes right back in, and he will survive just long enough for them to get a team wipe. The Scotty going to work. The Omni Slash at its level 3. And the triple kill and a dominating spree for Smash comes out of freaking nowhere. That was looking like a great fight for DC, but just not enough damage yet.
Yeah, I think TC got too flustered there because they saved him pretty decently. He was at about half HP. Maybe he's worried about getting Omni Slash, but I think he just should have... He BKB'd. He just should have called down and started attacking because he was pretty surrounded by Elite Wolves heroes. But once that Winter Wyvern ulti is gone, like you have no more disable, and he had to just go in right there and commit.
Arrow sailing through. It's going to catch UR. They're going to look for no lasso. Down for 15 seconds, but Ewo going to work. Now he's actually going to get Glimmer Caves up. They take down Yawar. Oh, that's huge. No buyback. Sam will fall as well. The Nightmare coming out. It's all coming apart right now for DC. They were looking strong. Maybe they'll get Ewo. That's a big pickup, but Smash still alive. Wants to keep going. TC, about half health. He'll be fine. 1437, even lower, but they defend their tier 3 tower. They're not out of this yet. But a just tragic turn of events for DC in that last fight. The last 2 fights, even.
Yeah, that last fight was just way too one-sided. Maybe DC should have forced it or something like that. Maybe the grip on that jug could have made things completely different. But they just didn't get the initiation, and that allows Elite Wolves to go first. And you almost never want to react to somebody else's initiation. Lasso into Arrow is just so scary. Like... Even though they did Cold Embrace and stop a lot of damage there, it's just the follow-up stun after that was just so much.
And maybe cut their losses after that engagement, just back up. They'd probably be in a better position.
I just think they needed to fight instantly. As soon as the BKB was popped on Jaro, they had to go for it. I think like TC ran across the whole fight and then he came back and decided to fight. And at that point, he lost like 4 seconds of BKB. Obviously, it doesn't protect you against Omni Slash, and his team really did get ripped apart by Omni, but I think he just needed to fight there.
They didn't have the Cold Embrace. The Glimmer Cape's not going to help either if they have detection on the ground, and that was a devastating fight. And I think Ewo was getting focused down pretty heavily. He doesn't have that Scotty, and I think he probably dies before he can get that Omni Slash off and the fight turns drastically, but... Well, I mean, could have happened, maybe it would have happened, who knows. Smash will pick up a Daedalus, by the way, now the damage becomes even more real. And what was once looking like a prominent game for DC is starting to turn a bit iffy here. They haven't lost their Rex. It is going to be the Lincoln Sphere picked up for the Bat Rider, which is a huge pick. More items coming their way as well, as they're just kind of saving up.
That gives him so much reaction time when he initiates to not get disabled, basically. Because any hero is going to have to cast 2 spells now, unless they have a Force Staff or something instant. Very difficult. They are going to show AUI in the top lane. Anticipating a gank here, I guess.
They're looking, trying to bait this out like you mentioned, but they won't find it. They're still smoked up. They're going to try to go down towards that mid lane, and Elite Wolves will find a Roche ready and ripe for the taking. I'll head in. He says, hello, may I take your Aegis, sir? He was going to go right to work. And DC are way too far away from this. They should know that Roche is going to be up soon, but it looks like either they don't want to contest, or they were too busy looking for that gank, and it has not paid off for them.
I think they're thinking that E-Wolves is again going to be afraid because it's nighttime. In reality, they feel good about their chances now, so they're actually going to take the Roche.
Very fast Roche. That is a huge pickup. The Aegis is going to grab for the Jug, who also has a Mithril Hammer, for whatever he decides to go for. And some illusions coming through, but they won't do anything. And now this gets that much harder. Like, you get 1 or 2 picks up onto the high ground for Elite Wolves, and suddenly you have Super Wards on your doorstep, and your Tier 3 and Raxes are gone. And they're going to smoke up as well. Elite Wolves are going to head to the high ground here, and Smash is going to be first in. He's going to jump inside of his Searing Chains. Sam in trouble. Arrow will sail through. It actually miss, and the game's paused, so that's one of the worst timings that could happen, but... Oh, we're good. All right, we're good. No worries.
They do have Enfeeble, so they can slow down the siege by quite a bit. In fact, Juggernaut's damage is not that amazing at this point. But he can just hit the building. With the Aegis, he has so much less fear.
They have to try to burn him down some way, but it's very difficult with the Scotty. Darkness is going to come through. There's the Splinter Blast. They have the Super Wards ready as well. Great Slide of Fist Searing Chains coming out onto 2. Van looking for something. Arrow comes through. They find TC again. The Cold Embrace comes out. He's in trouble. Does he have buyback? No, not for another 3 minutes. They get the Winter's Curse, but only onto Ewo, and that's just the Aegis. They've already lost TC. Toss comes through. Smash going to work. Does get Fiends gripped up, but here comes Van, and he was back in. Omni Slash, he's got it ready. They're going to find one. They'll find AUI 2012, as this is going to be it. A buyback coming out from AUI, but still 2 dead on the sidelines for DC. This is going to be Rax, if not 2.
Trying to slow things down as much as they can, but the amount of buybacks that they put towards this game thus far just to defend 1 lane of Rax has put them significantly behind in terms of net worth.
This kind of got out of control pretty quickly. And now they're going to head to the Tier 3 in the top lane. They obviously have no creep wave there, but Evo feels tanky enough as it is with the Scotty. Jump in, Slide of Fist Searing Chains. AUI takes a lot of damage, but he'll Glimmer Cape himself. They don't have the vision. The arrow's going to fly through. It's not going to connect in time. Super Wards are up, and they're about to drop them. Mystico's thinking about it. Keeps canceling the animation. Jump in. Lasso. Sam in trouble. He's got Darkness. He can maybe get out. He's pretty tanky, but no. Gem's on the deck. He's just too far in. And that's going to be a Glyph at the very least, but they probably get Rax out of this now.
Gyro's up on 15, so maybe then they can do something, but...
AUI gets freaking Arrow. The toss back. Avalanche comes in. Yuar just doesn't have the damage. 1437 is going to get shackled up, and now Ewo goes to work at the Peruvians. Elite Wolves just hounding them, corralling them into the base. And they're going to find another set of racks. They'll get the top ranged. Now they'll find Yuar in trouble. TC coming back in, taking so much damage from that Daedalus. Rocks from the Slide of Fist. Omni Slash goes through, and that is it. GG is called. Wow, what a start. Elite Wolves, the underdogs here in this first game. They'll take it over Digital Chaos handedly after a couple of crazy fights.
I don't know if I'd say handedly. Like they got a huge kill advantage in the early game. DC was behind, but not in a place where they wouldn't necessarily get completely stomped. But just a couple of those mid to late game team fights where they didn't initiate properly put them in such a bad place. And maybe you could justify, maybe they needed to blink on Tiny, or maybe they needed to get more smoke wraparounds. But they consistently just sat and let Elite Wolves go first, and because of that, they got so far behind, they've had to force buybacks, and they just couldn't come back at that point. Wow. Just they needed all their fights to go well if they are behind.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we will take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll have a bit of a post-game chat with Maut Packs as well as Pitmuck on the line, and then we'll get to our next game, which is Digital Chaos versus Team Mischief. So, guys, make sure you stick around. We'll be right back.